Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today I get a very special delight. I get to sit with my friend, Chris DeBlasio. This brother is the founder and executive director of ROI Discipleship, which we'll talk a little bit more about, a really cool movement that's happening. Also a serial entrepreneur. Chris, welcome to the show.
Oh, Johnny, thank you so much for having me. I'm finally excited we're able to get together. We've been wanting to do this for a little while.
Dude, we're busy guys, right? Like
Yeah.
this has been like 3 months in the making.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I finally got it. So one thing when I asked you something that most people don't know about you, you said you did a stint in the movie industry. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I actually, I'm originally from New Jersey, so I went to the School for Film and Television in Manhattan, studied with a whole bunch of private coaches, and did a couple of bit parts on some shows. I was on a couple of soap operas and moved around I was on CSI and
Soap
did.
opera Chris, yeah,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, that was my start. And I got the bug in New York, and so I kind of eventually went the direction that most actors go, is eventually found myself in LA. And so moved out to LA. This was many years ago, and did production. I it's funny. This kind of ties into like what we're going to be talking about today, but I've always it, in acting school, like when you go into acting school, they say, hey, you have two options of two jobs to support your career as an actor. You could either bus tables or bartend. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to do either one of those. I don't want to do that. So I'd rather start businesses. And that's what I
Yeah,
did. I actually had a lot of side hustles
yeah,
while I was pursuing my career. So as an actor, I always had these little businesses going, kind of supporting. But anyway, so I moved out to LA, and learned the business side of the entertainment business. So I had a production company, and we did some films and sold some stuff. And so, anyways, I moved on from that. But yeah, my background, is in the movie industry. That's kind of how it started. And at the same time, in tandem, I had multiple businesses I started along that way.
wow, dude. All right. So during that time, so how much time is how much time in your life was spent actually pursuing the acting? I'm an actor acting in movie shows, stuff like that. What was that? How long was that season?
Yeah, that was a few years.
Okay.
I was fortunate. I mean, a lot of people, it's definitely a tough industry. I mean, a lot of people struggle in that industry, and I was fortunate that, I was able to get some paid gigs, and so that supported me. But I always had, like I said, I've had these side businesses going that kind of offset some of the living expenses. But when I moved, so I did a bunch of shows in New York, and then I had some credits, and so that's when I moved to LA, and I was full time at that point. I had before prior to that, I had a sales job. I was in advertising. I sold advertising. I
Yeah.
made a lot of money. I was one of the top sales guys on the East Coast, and banked all that money. And then I had some investments going. And so by the time I hit LA, a lot of that stuff was supporting me. And so I also invested in starting a production company and stuff like that too. And so that was when it was full time. And I mean, at that point in time, I had the agent and the publicist and the entertainment lawyer, and the whole nine. I took it very seriously when I moved out there. So
Yeah.
yeah, full time out in LA.
All right. So what necessitated the change then? Because you went from then actively seeking roles and having the whole entourage around you to do that, and then you moved into a production. The production company, was the production company the thing that you kind of transitioned into out of that, or what was the out of story?
Yeah, that is a great question. So moved out as an actor and audition. I mean, I've gone on countless numbers of auditions,
Yeah.
and mind you, we'll talk about this as BC. So this was before I
Yeah.
was saved.
Yeah.
And so I was going on every audition under the sun, but there wasn't. Some of these roles weren't landing. I would get close. I would go to producer. There was a couple of shows I went to producers on,
Yeah.
and then the show got canceled, and so then I never got a chance to get it. There was just so many things. So out of that frustration, I decided to start my own production company, which
I
is
see.
there's a lot of actors that do that, and this is going back several years, right? So there weren't too many options that you had other than just auditioning and waiting for your big break. And I'm not the type of guy that's just going to really wait on anything. I'm going to try and make it happen. I'm a creator by heart, right? And so I decided to create a production company and go that route and start, producing my own content. And so that's how I got into the business side of the entertainment.
That's wild. Okay. So then can you tell us a little bit about that, the production company, and what kind of things were you doing and what were you learning? Let's hear about that phase.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. I learned a lot. I always say, because I've done content on a lot of this stuff, and I always say if you're in the movie industry, you should learn all aspects of it, and you should learn some of the business side, even though they're mostly creatives, they're not business people.
Right.
You should know what goes on. And so I've learned a lot of different things. My role, I'm not what you call so much of as a technical producer, as a creative producer. So, and also working on the financial side, always intrigued me just because I've always been, had this entrepreneurial spirit, right? And so I really enjoyed that side, and I took to that, and I would learn how to like hire a crew and all that other, doing those things. So that was kind of like a journey, and then doing the film festival circuit and stuff like that too. You kind of learn all that stuff, and that's not something that you necessarily learn in acting school, because that's the whole business side. It's like, hey, I show up, I do my job, I go home as an actor. Whereas this, you're raising funding, you're hiring people, you're firing people, you're getting distribution, you're doing deals, right? It's a totally different thing. For me, being like a hybrid, like I'm this weird hybrid of a creative and a business guy. Like it kind of fit. So that was LA. Yeah, that's how I made that transition.
All right, so I'm going to underline a few things that I'm hearing that I think are just core to your design and how you operate in the world. You said I'm not a waiter, I'm a creator. I like how that rhymes.
That's good.
Right? Yeah. You're not a person, right? And so to be an actor, you basically are at other people's mercy a lot of the time, if they're going to select you or not select you, or if the show's going to get canceled or not canceled.
Right.
And that didn't sit right with you.
Mm-mm.
And so you're like, okay, well, I'll just create a production company. And
right.
So you go and do
you're
that.
You're an employee. You're an employee. You are an employee of that production.
Yeah. So then you also have this balance between being a creator or being creative, but then also understanding business. And having a desire to create revenue and an understanding of finance and how that all works. And so you put those two together, you're leveraging both those things together in your role as the founder, owner of a production company. What was the product that this production company was creating? What were some of the products? Can you give me a sense for that? Concrete?
Yeah. So in producing, right? So when you're getting started, there's a lot of different aspects of it, right? So one, you can get scripts from other writers, right? So that's optioning scripts, and I've done both. I've had my own. I'm good with the story portion of it and helping, but I am not one to sit down and write a full script. That's just not with me, and so basically I would either hire script writers or I would option their scripts, and then basically from that point you would take that and then you would raise funding for it, right? And so there's that angle. There's other angles too, which my production company did a lot of the shorts. Like we would do shorts for movies. Or they would call them sizzle reels and stuff, but like I would actually go out and we'll shoot the content and get that stuff, kind of off the ground. So it's no longer something written on a napkin, which, hey, those movies get made too. I think it's harder and harder now. I mean, there's a lot that has changed in the industry from how many years ago I was in it till now, but yeah, so those are some of the things that we would do, and then we would get say a film completed, and then you want to shop it and put it into a film festival this way in hopes of landing distribution or whatever your objective is for that film.
That makes sense. Okay, got it. So how would you compare that to like an Angel Studios? like right, like
Yeah, no, that's great. And actually, dating myself here, but this was, pre-Angel Studios, right? That wasn't around. Angel Studios is great. I'm actually, working with Angel Studios, and I watch a lot of the videos and rate them and help, get some of them pushed through. But it's more of a community, and the way that they do it is it's almost like crowdfunding and getting that stuff. And back when I was doing it, there was something like they had like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. A lot of filmmakers would go that route. But with Angel, like they have like a whole ecosystem, which is really cool. So they make it easier to, you got to do some of your promotion and stuff, but they already have the community right there.
Yeah.
That really didn't exist. You had to create your own, like it was a lot more difficult doing it that way than having an Angel Studios. And this is another reason why, I partnered with them, is because like it just makes it so, so much more easier to do it that way. And not to mention that, a lot of their content, not just only being faith-based, but it's also really good content. Like it's been, back in the day, it was hard to find like faith-based films that were like good content. Like there wasn't much out there. And so, what I think what Angel is doing is really great. And then, like I said, they have that whole ecosystem to pull it off.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I just kind of threw that out there, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm involved. You're able to help to use everything that you learned from both those prior seasons of your life, both as an actor and production company, and actually contribute some value to that movement, which is just an amazing movement that's happening in the world. All right, very cool, man. So can you tell us a defining moment as we kind of continue to dig into the story?
Defining moment. Elaborate.
Defining moment for you.
The defining moment where? What
Small
point?
question, easy question.
Yeah.
Something that formed you.
Gosh, well, the first thing that comes to mind is, I was saved in California. I was saved in LA. And lots of things started changing from that point on.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the things, started, some of the roles that came available, some of the things that I probably would have said yes to, certain things changed. And so that led me down a journey. And eventually, I moved on from LA and I've just kind of followed this path, I mean, when you give your heart to Christ, right, everything changes from the inside out. And there was just certain decisions, and I had to make a decision. It's like, okay, my career here, or am I following Christ? Am I truly going to do what I say I'm going to do? And one of my core values is integrity, and like I can't say I'm going to do something and just not do it. Like there's no gray area with, there's no gray area with me. It's black or white. I mean, they're doing it or I'm not going to do it. And so I was all in, and a lot of things changed. And so I left LA. I took a little bit of a break from the industry, just kind of took a step back and said, all right, well, what does this look like? I spent a good deal of my time, I was great in sales, and I was, I was a good entrepreneur and stuff like that too, but I focused so much on, the entertainment business. What does this look like now? And so I took a step back, and that's when I really started getting into entrepreneurship. I started really building the companies that, I wanted to build around Christ-centered leadership, right? And so Agency 850 was one of my companies. So 850, a lot of people think it's an area code, but it actually stands for John 850. For I do not seek glory for myself. There is one who seeks it, and he is the judge.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the entertainment business, a lot of people are seeking glory for themselves, and that is not what Scripture says. And so that was one of the first things that I was like, all right, this is the company, and that company has, been a blessing. That was a big transition. I obviously at that point I was not doing too much in Hollywood at that point.
Yeah.
it did lead up to Atlanta. I started doing some stuff in Atlanta, which is cool in the entertainment business. I got involved with some faith-based producers and Angel Studios, and so I slowly was able to find my little way back into the entertainment business, where and going back to the first part of our conversation is kind of creating the narrative as opposed to having that being created for you. And so that's kind of like that was a defining moment for me for everything. That was definitely a big moment.
Yeah, man. Now, two questions. First is what does Agency 850 do? And it's still around? That's
no,
still...
I went on and I sold the company.
Okay.
There's some things that I do on the side. I still have some clients that we do consulting for and whatnot. But typical advertising agency. So we started just doing agency work and websites and SEO and social media and all that type of stuff. Eventually, it started morphing into product placement, product integration. So because of the ties to the movie industry, we were able to get advertisers inside a film or something. Also having a production company, I would obviously be able to kind of integrate ad dollars and into raising money for projects. So I funded a couple of reality shows doing that, where we'd integrate an advertiser into a film or a TV show, right? And so that's kind of how it morphed. But that's typically what the agency did.
And then this is a deeper question, but how did you find the Lord in LA?
So, oh gosh, moving out to LA was right from the beginning. Right when I landed, was actually during one of the many writer strikes, and so that was also another reason why, instead of auditioning and waiting for that role, I was like, well, let me start preparing. Let me get my own stuff, right? And that's only one of many challenges that I faced inside LA and in the movie industry, and false promises, broken dreams, stuff like that. It was difficult, and so there just got to a point where my family, I was born and raised Catholic, but they separated at a young age, so they didn't really go, and I always had a connection with God, but I didn't really know who Jesus was. Like, I didn't really know, and for me, I was lost going out there, and then when I got out there, it was very difficult. Just different things, different situations that have happened, and so I started searching, and man, I searched so many different things, different religions. I mean, like everything from like secret societies. I mean, you name it. Like I've done a lot of research on it, and that's when I stumbled across the Bible, and I started reading, and I started watching sermons, and then I found a local church, and then there was a men's group. They asked me to join them. At first, I was really hesitant. I was like, I don't know about this. Very, very cautious. But finally, I was like, man, this guy doesn't even know who I am, and he's inviting me. I was like, who does that? Like, that's pretty cool. Let me check it out. And so I did. Yeah, I mean, in a mountain in Ojai is when I give my life to the Lord. And I was like, you know what? I'm the type of guy that prays pretty powerful prayers. And I said, God, I was like, I'm going to start going your way. But if nothing changes, I guess I'm going to go back to the way I am. But I'm going to believe this thing, and I'm going to go your way. Yeah. Integrity being my core value, and like I have to, like, it's either yes or no. Like, that's what it was. And so that was a change for me. That's where it really started happening.
Dude, praise God, man. That moment, gosh, I resonate with it. I identify with that story so much. My dad actually, after my parents divorced, it just destroyed my dad. I'm probably 13 when this happens, and my dad just was like, if God is there, I have to know who He is. He was like, I don't even, basically, I don't even want to live if I don't know who He is. Right. And so he looked into every bunch of different religions, read a bunch of different holy books. Was just like, I don't care which one it is. I just want to know which one it is. Right. 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 And he said the Bible just got him by the throat, man. The Bible just got him. And I don't mean that. It sounds bad, but the Bible
no, it'll do that. it'll wake you up. Yeah.
It just, he was like, oh, okay, this Jesus got, like, okay, this is it. This is it, you know? And so when I was young, all of a sudden my dad becomes this crazy holy roller. He used to be, like, you know, all about alien phenomenon and psychic power and whatever,
right.
you know, occult stuff.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden he's like a holy roller, and me and my brothers are like, what is going on? Like, he's sitting us down, like basically preaching sermons on our face. And we're like, who is this? What is this dude doing? But you know, like I understand that. Like my dad was like, well, this is what it is, so I'm all in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If this is what it is, then I'm all in, and that's what I hear. Integrity in you, self-consistency. I hear that as a massive value for you, right? Like your alignment with what you say. Your life needs to be aligned with what you say.
Yep. 100%.
Now, where did that come from? That because it predated you getting born again, right? Like
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've kind of always been that way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because, you know, I books I've read or podcasts I've watched or you know, I don't know. You know, as far back as I can remember, if I said I was going to do something, it might have been, you know, early on, you know, I had a sales job and stuff like that too, and I had some really good leaders, a good childhood friend, you know, that was in my life, and a guy that you know, kind of instilled some of these values of like, hey, you need to do what you say you're going to do. And I don't know, my father was like that too. Like my father had good integrity. You know, if he said he was going to do something, he did it, you know, and I've always appreciated that. And I always wanted to be that type of person. You know?
Yeah.
And I always like to say this too. I think the reason why I grasped on so much to Christianity and the Bible is because it's literally it's the definition of leadership. If you look at the way you know, Jesus led his people, oh my gosh, some of the things. I mean, if you're just going through it, you're like, I don't know if that makes sense. But then you're like, wait a minute, that really does make sense. Like, you know, like it just the way he goes about and the way he leads, like it makes a lot of sense. And because that's part of my core, like I'm just like, okay, that's the leader I want to be.
Yeah.
That's the leader. You know, because I mean, the world might see it differently.
Yeah.
But I also, you know, and I hate to say it, but you know, for a good portion of my life, I was living in the world. Like I you know, I didn't, you know, not that like, you know, I mean, I don't know, you know, even you know, being raised as Catholic, you know, I didn't really go to like the Sunday. I'd actually wait until the church was closed, actually. So I would like still pray, and like I would still like I had this connection with God, and like I don't know. I was still searching even at a young age. It's just you know, life happens, and you know, it is what it is. But like I said, when I found the Bible, just I would say that a good portion of the leadership lessons that either strengthened what I already had or gave me new tools, it definitely came from biblical teachings, for sure.
Yeah. So leadership, that, like, I hear you say that word, and it's like a thunder strike, like leadership. That's important to you.
100. Yep.
That idea.
Yep.
What is it about Jesus and his leadership? Tell me a little bit about Jesus as a leader that you say, oh, I want that. I want to, right? Like, tell me some of the lessons Jesus has taught you in leadership.
Yeah. Well, the first one, which is obviously the biggest one, you're starting to kind of hear it in the world, is servant leadership, but true servant leadership, right? We're following a leader that constantly reminded everybody that, like, I'm not here for you to serve me. I'm here to serve you. Right? And the significance of that. I mean, he washed his disciples' feet, right? I mean, so what does that look like, right? Well, that's putting yourself last and putting other people first. And it's not just saying it, it's doing it. Like anyone can say anything on social media, anyone can say anything, but like let's look at the fruit. Let's look at like what you're actually doing. And he actually did those things, right? And just modeling that behavior. And so in running a business, well, how does that look? Well, you empower your employees, right? Yes, you have to make the final decisions on things, but you know what? You're also called to make disciples. You're also called to make other leaders.
Yeah.
And so when I learned that early on, I was like, okay, so the businesses that I start, it's going to be a hub to create leaders. And that's what I always used to say is like, I'm going to use those companies to create leaders. What I was doing was creating disciples. Now, let me preference this too. Not every person, because eventually I hired, in my companies that probably not everybody was Christian, right? And obviously there's certain laws and things, in the States that you have to kind of abide by. But the way you are leading, people take notice of that, right? And you're still doing your job, right? You're still leading in a certain way. You're still doing business ethically. You're showing how other people how to become better leaders, which is disciple making, right? And so those are the things that really, really stuck out to me, in Jesus' teachings.
Dude, I love it, man. What's the correlation between leadership and discipleship? Describe that a little bit, because you say both, and I can tell both of those terms are important to you. So how do they play off of each other? How do they feed into each other?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, we take it to the Bible where Jesus says, "Go forth and make disciples of all nations." And so I look at, your leadership is where, okay, so if you're the leader of the company, so you're the CEO, right? You're in charge. You have to make the final decisions, and you have other people following you.
Yes.
In my opinion, discipleship is, well, now I'm making you guys leaders. I'm empowering you to become leaders, disciples, right? And that's the point, right? So Jesus was a leader of his 12. He's a leader of everything. But let's say you're the leader of 12 people in your company, right?
Yeah.
You're the leader. But it's your job to make them disciples, make them leaders, right? So that's just kind of the way that I look at it. And so and that even outside of an organization, right? Even empowering your friends or coworkers or just anyone that you come in contact with, making sure that they could be the very best that they can be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you are being a leader, but you are also creating a disciple.
Okay. All right. So now, I sense calling on that. Okay. So I'll just say, so I'd say probably that. Let me ask you how you would describe the calling that's on your life as far as you can tell, because this sounds like calling. When I hear you talk about this, like, oh, that's in his heart, that he lives and breathes this lesson, the gift that I found this out countless interviews, right? Well, not count. I'm probably close to 120 interviews at this point. And what I hear constantly is people give the gift that they've received, right? Like, so I received something, it became a fire in my heart, now I go and give that. Or they give something that they wish they would have gotten, right? They wish would have been given to them, but they didn't get it at a time when they needed it. And so it's like, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen on my watch. I'm going to give this gift. So tell us about that. Tell us about what that fire is inside of you.
So yes and yes.
Yeah.
Well, so, and this kind of ties into ROI discipleship. And so, going through, what the life I went through with the entertainment business, and then having other businesses, and then in entrepreneurship, ran across a lot of different things, in business, like different situations and different things that I had to deal with or overcome. I was a part of a lot of really good, they were kind of like business, like either networking groups or business development groups, and some really, really good ones, but there was always something missing, and I couldn't really find any like faith-based business groups. And so, while I was kind of going through and I had some of these businesses, these companies, I was like, there really needs to be a space for this. There really needs to be something that not only helps create disciples, right, which we just kind of talked about, but in the marketplace, right, like focusing on that and giving them the tools that they need to be the absolute best leaders they can be. And so what does that look like? Well, it's a combination of taking scripture and applying it to business, but also practical information, practical things that you can include in your business, like how to run a P&L statement, or the importance of personality tests when hiring, right, and stuff like that, right? Those things, and then one of the biggest pieces, which is godly counsel. It's not only having a team of people that are highly skilled in the businesses that they run or they have ran for many years, but they're also very well grounded in their faith. And so they can come up alongside you, which is, not what secular business groups really offer, right? That's missing a big spiritual piece. And so I really felt that calling. I felt that, this was something that the world needed. And not only that, but, when you align your business with biblical principles, like you actually have a good, well-built business. Like it's actually, the business is a biblical thing. Like if you look at most of the people in the Bible, they ran their own companies. Yeah. They ran their own business. Even if it was just them, Jesus was a carpenter. He was self-employed. Like he ran a business, you know what I'm saying? So, there's so much in there. And so I'm like, the world needs to hear this. Like, I mean, there's people in the church, but what I also see is the impact that has, right? So not only is ROI Discipleship able to help build that leader to become a better leader for their home, they're providing for their family, right? Better leader in their home. They're a better leader for their employees because they get to see how they lead. And, they're a better leader for their vendors, their customers. Mm-hmm. What does that ultimately do? It transforms the entire community. And most people in the community, not most, but there's a lot of people that might not step foot inside the four walls of a church, but they're going to do commerce, they're going to do business somewhere. So if they're doing business with somebody that is, running, an ethical company that's based on good teachings, they're going to get Jesus, right? Yeah. And they're going to see that there's something different. And so it can change, it can ultimately change an entire community. And so that right there, I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's the calling.
Dude, I love it, man.
This has been the journey that God has been taking me on behind the scenes for sure.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about ROI Discipleship as an organization, what it is, how it works? I could say some things. I've had some great experiences with it so far, but I'll let you say it in your own words.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a nonprofit, and so basically it's a program. There's two components to it. One is a community aspect of it. So we have this online community where people can go in and you post content. We have content in the back. It's ever growing. So just business related content and things that you can apply from the Bible into your business. So we have a lot of content in there. And then the second piece is the actual discipleship program, which it's a full day call. So it's once a month. It's a full day call. And it's broken up into a couple parts, kind of like what I discussed earlier, which is what we felt is what is really needed. The four parts are: one, there's always a message, right? So, but it's a message not like you're getting a message on Sunday. It's very specific to business. Yeah. So we're gonna take a piece of scripture and we're gonna apply it, how that applies to business, and we're gonna give you the foundation and a message behind that. The second piece of that is business tools, which is great because this is where you're actually getting practical tools to run your business. And that's what, no matter what type of company, it's going to be tools that are going to help you succeed in whatever business that you're running, so that you got the practical. And then we do like a membership spotlight. So we have, our members talk a little bit about their business, help the community understand a little bit more about what you do. So this way they know how to support you. And then the last piece, which is still one of my favorite pieces, is the issue processing or opportunities, right? And that's where the wise counsel comes in, the godly counsel, the prayers, right? Where you open up about an issue or something that you're running into in your business. So whether it be, hey, I got to fire somebody, or I'm going through a lawsuit. What do I do? Like, what does the Bible say? Like, what do we need to do? And that's exactly what we do. So we open up the Bible and we figure out, all right, like, what is the best way to approach this situation? And not only that, but you're surrounded by good, godly people that are running successful companies that have a wealth of experience to pour into you. So you're getting advice, but you also know that you're getting it from godly.
Yeah, man, that's it's powerful, man. Having been and personally benefited from it. I know, I had some tough decisions that I was facing, just what are we, a month ago? It's probably a month ago. It was last month or the month before. I can't remember when I shared, but it was the prior month, and man, the level of counsel that I received, just there's a stabilizing effect that comes from that when other people are aware, right? Like there's something about walking in the light and walking in vulnerability and sharing what's really going on with people that are people of serious faith and substance, who are disposed to help you. They want to help you, right? Everybody on that call, we want each other to win. And there's a stabilizing effect, but then there's also, gosh, dude, like you can be accelerated by counsel, right? Like, do I really want to go learn it the way you had to learn it that took you 10 years?
Yeah.
Or maybe I could just listen to you.
Right. It's a cheat code. It's a cheat code to success. It's like, hey, somebody's already walked through that. Yeah. It's like, I don't have to walk through that. You already did. So, you can learn from other people's experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the demographic of the people that are, a good fit for the group? What would you say are the characteristics?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two types. So one, I look at the community as that could be somebody that maybe they already have a full-time job, but they have that entrepreneurial spirit. They just don't know where to go, right? Yeah. The community aspect of that is probably perfect for them. They can get plugged in, they can post in there, they can ask questions, stuff like that. When they finally get their LLC or they're raising some money or whatever, that and the ball's already in motion. They've got like a date of when they're leaving their 9 to 5 and they're starting their company. That's when we would highly recommend that they get plugged into the actual discipleship program, where they're going to get the the godly counsel and whatnot. And so that's kind of the journey. So the demographic would be for that. Anybody that has got that entrepreneurial spirit, join the community. Anybody that's already has an existing business that is looking for support and counsel, and it can be we have all different walks of life in our business, like all different age brackets, all different types of businesses, and all different people that have been in business for many, many years. Some highly successful people that have went on and built big companies for many millions of dollars and sold companies. And so the philosophy is that it doesn't matter what your background is. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a $1 billion company or you're just starting out. Because if you're just starting out, like, yes, you need a lot of information, but even if you had a $1 billion company, you also need to be reminded what it was like to start out and pour back into somebody. That's what we're called to do. Mm-hmm. That's what Jesus calls us to do, is to make disciples. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the purpose. And so the heart behind this is to have everybody contribute and make disciples of each other. Like, they're all sharpening. It's Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another, right? And so that is the idea behind this, is that we're empowering everybody to also empower others.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And that does bring me back to when I asked you kind of what's the correlation between leadership and discipleship? Well, yeah, like if you, a disciple, if you're going to go out and make disciples, you're discipling them to be makers of disciples, right? So leadership is inherent in the process, right? You're not raising up. The person that you're raising up is not a person that's just you're pouring into and it stays there. You're pouring into a person, and part of the way the kingdom works, right? That's how is like none of us are bystanders. None of us are sitting on the bench. I'm raising you up to go out and raise others up.
Right.
And you're creating a community around that principle.
Yes.
Right? Yep. We're raising each other up to go out and raise other people up.
Exactly.
And you call it leadership, equipping leaders to equip more leaders.
Yeah. Actually, one of our core values is disciples making disciples. But that's exactly so if you look at Jesus, that's what he did. He didn't say, okay, you 12, like I made you all the best leaders, in the world. That's it. It ends here. No, now go out and make more. Go out and make more disciples. Everything that I've taught you, go and make more. And you can very easily do that in business. You are the leader. Most of the time you are the creator and the founder of your business. People are looking to you to lead them, but it's not just you're leading them and not pouring back into them. The purpose is to pour back into them, even if they're your employees. It's funny, I've had companies before where, I've had some of my executives, because I give everything my all. I try to instruct, all my employees. I try to give all the information I possibly can to equip them, a lot of times to become an entrepreneur. I mean, I happen to attract people that are like that. So some of them worked for me, and I've had some executives in my company say, "Aren't you afraid they're going to leave you?" And I'm like, and if that's what happens, then great. You know why? Because they're going to take the teachings that they've learned here at our company and go and start their own and impact a whole demographic that we're never going to impact.
Right.
Yes, I would love for them to stay here. They're part of the family and everything, and they always will be. But if God is calling them to start their own business somewhere else, then I'm just going to empower them to do that. God's going to take care of us just like He's going to take care of them. And that's the culture. That's what that's in every business that I've started. Yep. That's always been how we ran.
I love it, man. And that's an abundance mindset, a generosity mindset versus a scarcity mindset. And I've run into this. I run into this a lot, right? Because as leaders at our companies, we bring people in. It's like, okay, I invested in this person and I just want them to stay forever. Right. And I'm scared. Yep. I even get scared to invest too much because let's say I let you get this education, or let's say I fund this workshop for you. Yep. And then what if you realize you don't want to be here anymore? And I see people kind of operating in that scarcity mindset, that fear mindset. And in the kingdom, it just, that mindset just has no place, right? Right. Like we invest as we were invested in. Yes. Right? Yes. Like we were invested generously in, we invest in other people. And then, man, we're going to applaud if the Lord says, all right, I'm relocating this person and we're going to go do this thing over here. Yes. And it's got nothing to do with you anymore. It's like, great. Right. Yeah. Even if it hurts. That's it. Even if it hurts. Yes. It's like, that's the point. Like we're here to make disciples. We're here to multiply. We're here to invest in people, even if it's to our own hurt, or if it seems like it's to our own hurt, but really ultimately it's not, right? Right. There's two things to unpack there, right? Yeah. So one, we're given things to steward, right? We're given things to steward and to grow, right? And so if that's a person, like don't hold back from that person. Like that's the worst thing you can do. Like pour as much as you can into them. So there's that. So we're called to do that. And then the second piece is the hurt piece. Is like, well, you don't grow as a leader. As you won't, if everything is laxed, you're not growing as a leader. Most of the time, the best companies are built because they were hurt. There was pain involved. There was something. There was a struggle. There was something. Some of the most world-changing organizations were started that way. ROI Discipleship as well. Before I started ROI Discipleship, I was scammed. I bought a business and I lost a great deal of our net worth based on a scam. Crazy. And that's truly, that's where I need to start this thing.
And that's how ROI Discipleship actually started, based on that. So a lot of times, we're starting these things, it comes from a place of pain, right? Mm-hmm. But God has this amazing ability to take something that was meant to hurt or harm you into something beautiful and something that is going to make an impact and a positive impact for the kingdom.
That's so right on, dude. And that is an undeniable kingdom principle. That is undeniably the way that it is in the kingdom. All of us who are watching, who are walking in faith, can understand like how God took something painful in my life and turned it into something beautiful, like only he can do. And there is, we don't get to be exempt from that process, right? Like nobody gets to be like, nah, I'm gonna opt out of that one. Like, not, that is part of what we signed up for, was to be in the hands of the potter and the clay, right? And for him to mold us however he wants to do.
Don't get comfortable. That's the thing. Don't get comfortable.
Yeah. This is cool, man. So I think we've got a good understanding of what your calling is and how that calling transfers into ROI Discipleship, that community and that program, that nonprofit that you've described, and that I've received incredible benefit from, incredible people that are in there. I can't. That makes me want to just call them out by name, but I don't know everybody's names yet. But I would like to know, like, a dream for you. Right. Mm. So what would you like to accomplish? What does the mountaintop that you're aiming towards look like right now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So as far as what we're building here with ROI Discipleship, so ROI Ministries is the nonprofit. ROI Discipleship is a piece of that. So we're cultivating talent. We're equipping them to be the best leaders that they are. But the other piece of that is economic development as well. And so part of the nonprofit will also be donating and investing in real estate. So say there's a rundown strip mall or something like that, and we're seeing this a lot because of the economy. The commercial industry has taken a huge hit after COVID, and so we're seeing these places pop up all over the country and all over the world, reinvesting in those areas, and then plugging good solid business operators, owners to run those areas. So that's big picture, and I've always, if you look at corruption, it starts from commerce. Major corruption will start from commerce. And so if we can get in there and change these communities and invest in these communities and put trained operators, entrepreneurs in those communities, it's ultimately going to change the community for the positive. And so my big dream is to see ROI Discipleship continue to grow and not only just change this country, but change areas around the world. And our big picture goal is it's 10,000 members, which equates to $5 billion of impact, and is for one purpose: expand the kingdom of God through commerce.
Wow, man, that's pretty cool. What's that? It's amazing. So what is that dream, as you think about, like, you're looking back, it's whatever, 10 years, 20 years from now, you're looking back, let's say it happened. It happened. What's going on inside your spirit at that moment, in your heart? Did you picture yourself with more gray hairs?
Yeah, I pray I hold on to all my hairs too. To see all that happen would be just great joy. I've built a lot of companies. I've scaled, I've sold companies, but this one, truly, I look for it to outlast me and members of my family. Just constantly just providing and giving back. That's what this is about. This is something that, we decided early on that we were going the nonprofit route because that's what this is. That's what this is. This is not something to add to my portfolio. This
Right.
is something that is much, much more. And so that would just give me so much great joy to leave that behind and to help people that are looking to make an impact in their business and in their communities.
You picture yourself doing this for the rest of your life?
Yes. Yeah. There will always be. This is definitely something that I was like, I start this. I think that's probably why, like, I was working on it behind the scenes for a while.
Yeah.
But it, like I said, it took a scam of a business and a wake up call, and God will shake you sometimes and be like, no, that you need to do this now. Like, it's now. You like do it now.
Wow.
And so I stopped for the for profit, and I do some investing and stuff like that too. But like, this is the main thing, and
main thing.
It may look a little bit different, but as far as what God has put in front of me right now, and the vision that He's given, and the direction, I mean, it's just, gosh, I can't. This will always be a part of the big picture of what's in my.
So now those two parts of you, that creative part, creative entrepreneurial part, also this kind of financial revenue, like understanding of how business works, you're getting to harness both those things together, and really you're shining that light right down on this endeavor, right?
Right.
Like this is where you've narrowed the focus, like whatever. I like the image of the magnifying glass, right? Where you kind of turn it different directions, and then you get it just right, and all of a sudden it's burning through wood or whatever. I'm a kid. I'm trying to burn metal. I'm trying to burn wood. I'm trying to burn everything.
Right.
But that's where you have it aimed.
Yep.
At this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool, man. As we come to a close, I'm going to throw one more thing out there. Like, the way I think is in terms of movements and connection. And so even as I hear you talk, I hear a resonance with what you're doing with movements like Jordan Raynor. You familiar with him at all? The author, speaker, and talks a lot about marketplace ministry. So shout out to Jordan Raynor, because this sounds like it's kind of in, y'all are moving towards a similar place, taking different different routes, but it's impacting the world. It's impacting the way that we look at marketplace ministry, really, as not as like the B team or second, but as like, no, like this is real ministry, the real work of Christ happening in the world of commerce through believers that are there.
Right.
And then have you heard of Andy Crouch and Praxis? Like that organization.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Just the thing. Other collaborators that you don't even know yet.
Well, I know your superpower is a connector, so I know all these people. So it's and that's the thing too, is like we all need to get together and build this thing. That's what this is about. It's about Christians working together and creating something that is world changing, and I think getting connected with people in the community, in any which capacity, even if it's just hey, you need to know this person, or you need to know this person, that's a huge help. That's a huge blessing for it.
Yeah, dude, we can do so much more together, dude, when we're really lockstep, like aware of each other and favorably disposed towards each other, preferring, right? Like, let me help. You're not my competition. You're right. There is no competition in Christ, bro.
No, there isn't. No,
there's 0% competition in Christ.
No, and that's what's crazy. Like, a lot of people, like, they call it the body of Christ for a reason. Yeah. Like, you're a part of what this is. Like, everybody has different gifts, talents, and abilities, right, to give. And it's like, there's times where I've collaborated with a competitor before. It's like, hey, it's like, this is, you might want to, work together on this certain thing. Like, it's not, competition is just, there's no competition in this industry. And especially if the focus is the mission, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, if you're all focused on the mission, it's like, all right, how do we support each other? When I see another nonprofit, I'm already thinking, how can ROI help this business? Like, how can we work with them,
Yes.
That's the mindset. That's the way that people should work. There's no competition.
No, man. Man, Lord bless the movement, man. I'm getting to see firsthand people growing in the community, people getting what they need, people reaching for the stars, right? Reaching higher, like people being kind of unleashed, and it's a beautiful thing, man. So I love what you're doing. I pray the Lord just blesses you, blesses your family, blesses what you're doing. All the people in ROI discipleship, which means, by the way, revenue or righteousness over income.
That's it. Yep.
Right?
That's it.
Righteousness over income. We should have said that at the beginning.
Is that little hidden Easter egg that I sprinkled in there?
Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure and a joy, man. Thank you for sitting with me today.
The pleasure's all mine, Johnny. I really appreciate this. I'm happy we're finally able to sit down and do this.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was what I had hoped it was going to be. And then everybody who stayed with us up to this point, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll hit you next time. So take care, everybody. We appreciate you.